Okay, and attendees are coming in. I'm going to move Eddie to panelist. And move Sean Evans to panelist. Sean Evans, Evan Sears, excuse me.
Brockton Community Access.
Yeah. Promote to panelists. What happened to Eddie? Promote to panelists. And then in panelists, I need to promote Brockton Community Access to be.
I can't move anybody.
I've made you co-host.
Brockton Community Access does not. They do not want to move. Very weird.
Yeah, that is strange. I'm trying to promote them to panelists.
It must be something on their end. And he won't move it up. Oh, there he is.
Well, I hit the allow to talk, I thought.
Oh,
Because Brockton Community Access, can you hear us? We are trying to promote you to panelists, but for some reason it's not letting you in. Brockton Community Access, could you log off and join back in? And we'll see what we can do to get you back on.
maybe it's not there.
That is weird. Anyway, while I am trying to work on that, why don't you start the meeting? And I'll see if I can get them caught up.
All right, we're ready to go. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the planning board meeting of April 5th, 2022. This meeting is being recorded in accordance with a government order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. Real-time public participation and comment can be addressed to the planning board utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. This application will allow users to view the meeting and send a comment or question to the chair via the question and answer function submitted. Text comments will be read into the record. For those of you joining by phone, press *9. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. A copy of this recording will be on the city's web pages. All votes will be done via roll call to ensure account accuracy. As your name is called, please indicate that you are present. Samantha Ambroise,
Present.
Corita Das,
Here.
James Sweeney,
Here.
And along with us tonight is Director Rob May, Evan Sears,
Hello.
Planner 1, and administrators to the board, Pamela Gurley, and Chief Deputy Edward Williams, representing the Brockton Fire Department. So let's get to what we have. So we have, I'll read off what our agenda is tonight to make sure we're all clear, because we had a few extra last minute continuances and one I'll have a question on, but items requesting continuances, if anybody's here for these following 3 items anyways, continue to May 3rd, which is Plot 2 Belgravia Ave, 466 Forest Ave, the Health Center facility, 49 Keswick Street. They've all been continued to May 3rd. So if anybody's here for that, those have been continued. We also got a request to continue, and I guess I have a question right up front on Field Street. Is that something we should continue, or is this something we need to discuss when we get to it? I guess I have a question for Rob or Pam on that, or Evan.
Rob?
Oh, I think he's wrote no.
Oh,
no.
I'm sorry. I've been trying to get Brockton Community in, but they are in. Let's deal with that when we get to it, sir.
Okay, so then we'll get to that when the items come up. We're going to review the acceptance of the minutes from March 1st. We have lot releases, 88 and 94 Kingman Street and Stonehill Street and Tiffany Drive. Street acceptances for Aspen Street, Rodwell Street, Victory Street. We have zoning changes, ordinance. Well, we'll go through that. I'll read through that when we get to it. Permission to return to ZBA 6870 Field Street. Permission to return to ZBA 1449 Main Street. Site plan approval 534 North Montello. Definitive subdivision 135 Elliott Street. Preliminary subdivision 432 Crescent Street. And preliminary subdivision 3012 Ave. I think that covers it all. So let's get to the March 1st minutes. Has the planning committee had a chance to review the minutes, and do we have a motion?
Yes, motion to approve.
Second.
So we'll take a roll call vote on that. Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
Rita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes,
Larry Hassan, yes, so that's approved. Lot releases for 88 and 94 Kingman Street. On these ones, Pam, is there a bond required or anything for these or
Well,
no?
88 and 94 Kingman are the existing homes
Okay, right.
lots came out of. So in order for the builder to be able to purchase new lots to put up the houses, these need to be released from
Okay,
covenant.
okay. Are there any questions from the members on this one?
No, Mr. Chair.
I don't think there's really any particular questions on it. They do need to be signed by 2 of the planning board members, Pam.
Yes, so if you will come in closer towards maybe Thursday, Friday.
Okay. I mean, I can come in on Friday. I don't know if
Okay.
everybody- we'll need a couple on that. So
I
go ahead.
I will need I do have an old subdivision plan that never got signed that I need you all to come in and sign.
We'll all need to sign. Okay. Is that good with everybody?
it works.
So then
Yeah.
we'll need a motion for 88 and 94 Kingman Street.
Motion to release 88 and 94 Kingman Street.
Second,
Roll call vote, Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
Rita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
yes,
and Larry Hassan, yes.
Okay, Stonehill Street and Tiffany Drive. This was an extension of the streets and 2 brand new houses. We've received all the work was done. The road was paved, the road was inspected. The utilities were in, these were inspected. We received everything we need from the DPW, so they're looking to. The only thing we're missing on this, good thing I remembered, is we don't
As-built plan,
have the as-built.
we don't have it yet.
No, so when I spoke with Jim Bertarelli, he was agreeable to release one lot and hold the other one until we get the as-built plan.
Okay, so then we're gonna just release, I mean, we'll release Stonehill Street for now, and then how do we handle or discuss Tiffany Drive?
I don't,
Not-
wait a minute. Rob, can you pull up the lot release request? Because I just want to make sure we release the right lot.
Okay, all right, whichever one you think is,
I don't know whether they're both plotted off of Stonehill, so we'll just have to pick one.
I don't think so, actually. I think you're right.
Okay.
It's in the Google Drive for today.
Yes, I have it. Unfortunately, it's at an angle. Hang on just a second. So you can see the two lots here. With
It's
information,
On Stonehill.
you were looking for the Stonehill lot? Are you looking for a lot number? I'm sorry.
You can release the one with the frontage along Stonehill.
Yes,
So I'm assuming that's Stonehill Street, parcel 6027.
Stonehill is up there, yes.
So we would need a motion to release Stonehill Street parcel 6027, and then we're just gonna hold Tiffany Drive until the as-built is supplied to the planning board.
Yeah,
Okay. So I guess, any questions from the board members? And
Motion to release parcel 6027.
do we, before that, do we need, is this a public hearing on this one or no? Nope.
No.
Nope. So go ahead. Jim says motion to release. We need a second.
Second.
Roll call vote. Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
Rita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes.
and Larry Hassan. We good on that for now?
we are.
Thank you. Street acceptances, we have Aspen Street, Rodwell Street, and Victory Street. I don't really have any particular questions on it. It's either we recommend favorably or not.
Well, the streets on either side of these streets were accepted, and these are small little streets, as you can see from the map I attached with the request. So I think they just got missed when they because the ward council thought
That already, yeah.
all past ward council thought he had done this. And it must have just got missed.
So basically, we're looking for either recommend favorably, a motion to recommend favorably or not. So I guess I'll leave it up to a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
motion to recommend favorably. Thank you.
And we have a second.
Second.
Second, thank you. Roll call vote. Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
Rita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes.
and Larry Hassan. Yes, thank you. Okay, moving on to zoning ordinance changes. This normally would come to the planning board first, but this decision has already been made based on a meeting I had earlier this week. So unless I'm wrong, these have already gone into effect by the council, correct?
They have been approved by the council, but given that they have not followed the state law, it may be that these could be found in violation, and therefore we should go through our
Okay.
process to make a recommendation.
So the ordinance changes are, number one is to strike the language, marijuana retailer operations shall not be conducted or located on the ground floor in C3 zones. They want that removed, which would allow retail marijuana to be located on the ground floor. I don't particularly agree with that. The ordinance, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
When we had worked with the City Council Ordinance Committee 2 years ago, one of the issues that we had with allowing marijuana in C3 districts, which we are generally in favor of, but these operations tend to generate a lot of traffic and a lot of revenue. And the city felt that permitting them on floors other than the first floor, other than the ground floor, would require the property owners to invest in elevators or other vertical circulation improvements, which then would lead to additional opportunities for other businesses to be in upper stories. Council had passed that, and now one of the downtown applicants does not want to invest in the elevator in their own building, and is crying hardship, and got this amendment filed with City Council. So while they have already approved it, I think it would be in our interest to deny, well, not, we can't deny, but to recommend unfavorably back to City Council.
Okay. Shall we do these one by one as we vote then? Might as well.
Yes. Yes,
So
please.
based on that, is it any comments from the planning board members, the committee?
I guess my comment, I saw this case on the zoning board, and to ask that they be on the third floor, granting they've already, it's my understanding that they were already granted the business on the third floor, but to conduct that when there are a lot now in Brockton as opposed to others, no one's going to go to that business when they have to go to the third floor. So it's an interesting one. I would be in favor of allowing that. All the other stores, it's my understanding that they're all ground level.
Yes, they are all ground level in the other districts. But you also have to remember that in those districts, you can't look into the store or see into the store. So there has to be, there's no glass, and that then creates a flat storefront or looks like it's, a closed business. And that's another issue that we wanted to avoid.
Okay. Any other planning board members? Comments, questions?
So what's there on the second floor currently?
I believe it's vacant now, isn't it?
Okay.
Correct.
I think it's a building like on the, I don't know if it's a second and third floor. It needs quite a bit of work. I think it's been sitting dormant for quite a while.
It's a Capiello's boxing gym. It's right there near the Donovan building.
Okay.
Well, that's just one example, but yes, you're right.
If we have no other questions, is this open to the public hearing?
It is.
Yes, it is.
So are there anyone from the public that wishes to comment favorably or unfavorably?
Folks in the audience, if you'd like to make a statement, please use the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your screen. So if you hover your cursor down at the bottom, you'll see a raised hand. If you're on the telephone, press *9, and that will allow us to unlock your microphone. And Mr. Chairman, I do not see anyone raising their hand.
Okay, so on item number 1, we need a vote. Or a motion, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, motion to recommend unfavorably.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Samantha Ambroise,
Deny.
Porita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
No,
Larry Hassan, deny. Item number 2, I'll just read it out. Be it ordained, the City Council of the City of Brockton as follows, that the City Council adopt the following amendments to section 24-24-4, adult use of marijuana relative to the regulation and zoning of marijuana, to strike the language from 8 p.m. and insert in its place 10 p.m. So they're looking to just move the hours from 8 p.m. to the business hours of 10 p.m. That one there, I don't particularly have an issue with. I mean, you're a retail business. I don't see an issue with that, but that's my
Yeah,
comment.
and the planning department did not have an issue with that.
Okay, so any comments from the board members?
No, Mr. Chair.
Any comments from the public?
Anyone from the public wishing to comment, please use the raise your hand icon. It'll look like that on the screen. And it's at the bottom of your screen. So if you hover your mouse or cursor down there, and I do not see anyone with a raised hand, sir.
Okay, so we need a motion.
motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote. Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
Marita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes,
and Larry Hassan is a yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, can I go back over the vote for the prior one?
Correct. Yes, yeah. So
Because now I'm
I
not.
believe we had 3 deny and 1.
So were they denying?
So
So
unfavorable.
the motion was to recommend it unfavorably.
Right. So that would be a yes to that. So I guess there would be 3 yeses and a no. Correct?
no, mine would go back to a yes then.
Can we maybe
Yes,
vote that?
You want to redo this?
Because I want to make sure, because the motion was unfavorable. So if you wanted it unfavorable, then your vote should have been yes. If you wanted it,
Okay,
if you
Favorable,
didn't
your
agree
vote
with
should
that,
be
then
no.
your vote should be no.
okay. So we have a motion to recommend unfavorably. Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
Marita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney.
Yes, I'm
Larry
sorry,
Hassan-
excuse me, sorry,
Yeah,
no, sorry.
No. Larry Hassan, yes.
Okay,
Good for now? Thank you.
yes,
Okay,
it's the
Thank you
same
for
vote. It was just the way it came out.
I know.
yeah.
So we're on to permission to return to ZBA 6870 Field Street. This has been around for a while. I received a message that they want to continue for next month. And I believe at the last meeting, we said there would be no more continuances. And I also remember at the last meeting that it was brought up by one of the board members that this really didn't even need to be on our agenda because of the, I believe it was a ZBA issue that was no longer existing. And we gave an okay to get a building permit, but we received an email today that they wanted another month's continuance. So there's no building permit, and I believe, unless it's changed, Pam, there's no civil site plan, whether we need one or not.
They need one to apply for their building permit.
Right, but they don't need to come to us for that, correct?
No.
Okay,
Correct.
so I'm not looking to deny somebody wanting to do business in the city of Brockton, but for them to come to the planning board with this doesn't really seem to make sense anymore. I'm asking this as an open question to Pam, Evan, or Rob. If we table this, how does this affect the applicant?
I'm here. Am I-
Oh, Mr. Creedon's here. Okay,
am
so
I-
Mr. Creedon's here. I'm sorry. So let's.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can,
Thank
I
you.
think, explain this. At your last meeting, I received written communication from Pam that we would to, because you allowed the continuance for us to file the building permit with the building department. My engineers, which were two of them, an architectural and the other one, went to the building department to file the plan. Pam told me that, because she was there, that they didn't take the plans because they weren't certified. Secondly, they said that they wanted a site plan. So I was told by my engineers that I was told to do an affidavit concerning the history of what's been happening for the last year and a half, and I did so. And again, my clients have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars improving the road with water and sewer, having the license commission license renewed each year, but it's right now what they call a pocket license. And so I indicated to my engineers as recently as today, after talking to Pam, that we need to certify those plans. And the reason, Chairman Hassan, that I think I'd like it to continue for one more month, because I think they're going to tell us to go to site plan review if the building inspector says, look, it looks like you don't need zoning. And again, I can, under oath and affidavit, say that the chairman of the zoning board indicated if we went back under 100 to the old seating plan, we didn't need the 8 spaces. So we've done that, but that plan hasn't been certified for either you people to see or the building department, and it would be done immediately. So I know it's been a long haul, but I would just suggest if you leave it open, I'll be moving to you guys to dismiss the thing if we're all set. I just don't want to let it to go in case I have to go back to the zoning board for some other reason. So that's my request. And again, I think it's the safest position for both the city and for my client.
Okay, Attorney Creedon, I apologize for not recognizing you being on the call. So it's
Not a
Sorry
problem at
about
all, Mr. Chairman.
questions from the committee. I know we've gone over this enough times.
No,
Well, then this is for a public hearing, correct? Do we need, is
Technically,
anybody
yes.
from the
I
public?
believe, yeah.
He's asked for a continuance, so.
Okay, so we don't, okay.
Oh.
Motion from the committee?
sorry, he's looking to continue to the next meeting. What's that, May 1st?
May 3rd.
May
May
3rd.
3rd, okay. Motion to continue to May 3rd.
Second,
Roll call
May
vote,
3rd.
Samantha Ambroise,
yes.
Corita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes,
Larry Hassan is a yes.
Thank you, members.
Thank you. On to 1449 Main Street, permission to return to ZBA. I know Attorney Creedon's on this one too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. With me is the petitioner, Alyssa Fernandez. Brockton Police Officer. A Brockton police officer, I might add. We were turned down. I'll give you the quick history there. We were denied on December 14th, 2021 for a variance for a two-family. Reason request for the variance was because that's a C2 zone. The petition, which I presented, indicated we were going to demolish that very small building and that very small lot that was built in 1940. It hasn't been used or in any meaningful fashion. It's been abandoned basically for a number of years. I can tell you in the decision, which I believe you have before you, the last comment is that Ward 4 City Councilor offered support for the petition. And that is because she didn't want to see that abandoned basic building doing nothing. We got turned down for sure because in the basis for the turn down, in addition to the standard language that says there was no hardship, which we did argue, but nevertheless, it was all about the parking and the traffic flow. The parking was pretty horrendous. Even I would agree to that. The new plan, and I believe Azu, the engineer, is on with us. Pam, Rob, can you tell that? He's in his
He
own
is.
office.
The zoo is on.
Okay. Azu changed what was a very, without question, a dangerous situation where the parking people that would be in the two-family, the four people, would have to back out onto Main Street down there. Obviously not a good idea. And the traffic flow was also configured in such a way that it was no good. We have now moved the building back. That's the request, to remove the building back slightly so that there'd be a good traffic flow around there and then onto Main Street facing the traffic, so that, you know, you take a right-hand turn or whatever without getting into a safety situation. And again, if you've looked at the decision, that's basically the reason they turned it down. I'll read the exact language if you want. Let's see. The lot area was deficient in area and street frontage with acceptable proposed off-street parking that requires stacking. Our original old plan, which I filed with this situation request, had stacking. And stacking, of course, is one car behind another, which isn't a real great plan, even under the best circumstances. We now have individual parking, as you see on the new plan, where cars can back out and make that traffic flow going around the building, coming out onto Main Street, facing Main Street. So, you know, under the law, which requires you to vote on whether we should go back to the Zoning Board of Appeals, I suggest to you, it's a very substantial change because that was the reason for the turn down. And again, coupling with it the fact that the city councilor, who was a very concerned, meticulous councilor, she supported it because of the alternative. It's sitting there and doing nothing. We now have a new structure, a two-family, 3 up and down, exactly the same, a brand new building that doesn't present or suggest a fire safety issue. So I would hope that you would consider letting us go back there. I personally think that that substantial change is basically what the zoning board wanted to hear. And I feel it's apt to be a very favorable decision if they have the new plan. Thank you.
Can we bring up the plan? Because
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that, Mr. Chair.
it's a
Thank you.
very small lot and
And
some of
I
the,
would like to address the board, but just give me a second to pull up the plan.
right.
Sue, are you on?
I think, yeah, Rob
Rob has
is
enough.
sharing the plan,
Hang-
yes.
Hang on just a second before we get too far along in this. Because while Attorney Creedon was reading the zoning board's decision, there was some text that was kind of left out of this conversation. And that text is in your packet, you all have a copy of the ZBA's decision, and it's the second to last line at the bottom of the paragraph that reads basis. The sentence reads, there was an absence of evidence that would aid the petitioners. There's an absence of evidence that would aid the petitioner's application. No hardship was found by the board at the locus. So in order for the board to legally grant a variance, the petitioner needs to show that there is something about the lot that is unique to that lot, that there is something about the lot's shape, its topography, or its soil condition that prevents the owner from using that lot as zoned, and that the full enforcement of the zoning ordinance would create a hardship on that developer or on that landowner. So the first issue is that it is zoned commercial, and there is a commercial building on it. So there doesn't appear to be a hardship that prevents the property owner from using that as a commercial use. Number two, and this is a conversation that we are having with the city solicitor now, and I hope we have a resolution to this fairly soon. In order to return to the Zoning Board of Appeals, the applicant needs to show a substantial change in the plan that addresses the reason why the plan was denied. The primary reason why the plan was denied was that there is no grounds for issuing a variance. There is nothing about the shape, topography, or soil conditions in the plan or on the site that would warrant a zoning variance. And so the question to the law department is, how do you overcome the hardship question? How do you make a substantial change to the plan that then creates, or in this case, eliminates a hardship? So we're hoping that the city solicitor will get back to us, but it has been our stand up until now, or it has been our stand, that it's very hard to overcome failure to meet grounds for a variance through a substantial change. And
May I-
then,
Yeah.
and hang on, and then with this lot in particular, if it were zoned residential, it's so small that we would only allow a one-family home if it was a lot of record prior to the creation of zoning. Asking for two homes on this is going beyond what should be allowed there. You can see the site right now on your screen. So I will can you see this site plan?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So I'll turn that over to the board.
Rob, Mr. Chairman, may I comment on that as far as the hardship goes? First
Yes.
of all, in addition in the law to size, topography, and shape, okay, because I presented it, argued several things on the size, the slope, and I might add the structure, which is the fourth thing that the law recognizes as a hardship. And I can tell you this is, as was said, this is a small lot, okay? It is surrounded by many multifamilies and many businesses. So all those things have been addressed by our Supreme Court. And it comes back to even recently, a case that came down about 2 weeks ago that talks about the reasonableness of the board's decision to allow the hardship considerations, which are, again, the soil, that was not an issue. The shape of the lot was an issue. The size of the lot was an issue. Even the slope was, because it slopes from in the rear to the front to Main Street. And I brought all those points up. I know the decision exactly. That's why I put in the petition. That was another situation. But the question that I think this board under the law has, and I have it in front of me, your decision should be not whether or not we can prove a hardship. Again, I think the city planner has indicated that's before the city solicitor's office, but whether or not there has been a substantial change in the plans, which I think clearly there is, because most of the decision was about the parking and coming out to Main Street on safety. So that's what your decision should be, and you should leave the zoning hardship issue, which again, we testified to, and they don't take minute-to-minute meeting minutes. So I want to tell you that we did go through 3 of the hardships, and that was just, I think, statutory language that the chairman or whoever wrote the decision was putting in there because of the controversies we have had over the years about hardship with the city solicitor's office and the administration. So I would suggest that there is absolutely a substantial change in the plan, which is your decision tonight, and not whether or not we can prove hardship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alyssa is here with me, and she would corroborate my opinion about the testimony that was before the board that evening.
Oh, I'm sure that you argued that, Jake.
Yep.
I'm sure you did. That's
did.
your job to argue that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's correct. And I'm hoping that the city solicitor will get back to us. If the board would like to wait for that decision from the city solicitor, you could continue this case.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. Alyssa, do you have a problem with that?
No.
No.
Are there any other comments from the members? Again, it is on a very small lot. The parking spaces, even though I believe they were changed, those parking spots are kind of small. I don't
I'm
think
pretty
you can do anything else
familiar with this
them.
case. I mean, I do see the change in parking. That was the major issue on that corner. I guess, given into account what Rob has said, I would like to hear what the city solicitor has to say. Not sure about the other members.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just like to hear what the parking situation looks like now, if we can just go over that one more time.
The parking spaces are out front, all of them 180 square feet, which is required by the ordinance. And they don't back out onto Main Street. They're now in a traffic flow that allows them to be front face going on to Main Street. And part of that was done by us moving the house a little further back to get all 4 spaces not stacked. Again, the original plan, which I think you have in your package, shows stacking, which is one behind another. And that's very difficult, generally a situation of 2 cars trying to move at once. This way, any one of the 4 cars can move at their discretion and go out onto Main Street, eventually straight faced out onto the street. Again, the size of the lot, it's clear that size is a hardship situation. And again, we presented significant information about the residential uses all around it. So
I would have to argue size is not a grounds for a variance. It's shape, soil condition, and topography.
the size I'm talking about is shape. Okay, it's a
Size
small
is not shape,
shape
and
lot.
there are court cases that
Okay.
have already stated that.
I wouldn't argue that. Okay.
So
It's the
here is
shape
the
of it.
original stacked parking. Whoops, sorry.
Well, we don't have a problem waiting for the city solicitor's office. I hope that I'd be allowed to interface with whoever is going to make that decision to give our side of the opinion on the law, as I've been in zoning for now 53 years. And my brother Robert actually wrote 40A with the late Senator Joe Moakley. So I do have some backing.
And if I may add, Mr. Chairman, through you, I would have, this is Azua Chiniru. I'm the engineer and licensed land surveyor of record for the project. Attorney Creedon has very succinctly articulated the discussion with the Board of Appeals. And I was at the meeting. We did have a very good, robust discussion with the Board of Appeals. And I have zero problem with having two, as Attorney Creedon and the applicant, Alicia, have assented to, and that is to hear the opinion of the solicitor. But I think Mr. May's arguments will be more of an appropriate argument before the Board of Appeals. I think as Attorney Creedon has stated, what actually is before this board is not the merits of the zoning application. Otherwise, you will be usurping the authority of the ZBA. What is before you is to make a determination whether the plan that is before you compared to the plan that served as the basis of the denial by the ZBA. And actually, while it might not have been included in the written decision, the board was very receptive to modifying the plan so that it could come back. So I don't think that this is the right forum for the argument whether it merits a variance or not. That is, with all due respect, not the purview of this board. The purview of this board is to find whether the plan that we have now provided to you is substantially different from what was the basis of the denial. And I will argue and corroborate what Attorney Creedon said, that it is indeed substantial. It precludes, the new plan precludes the backing up of vehicles onto the street versus now facing the street so that you can obtain a proper view of your entry into the street. But as Attorney Creedon has assented that, getting an opinion of the city solicitor will be fine. And I think Attorney Creedon should be a part of that conversation. But I think we want to be very pragmatic here and very clear as to the different functions of the boards. Thank you.
Thank you, Azu. So while we got you on here, this new plan, we've lost the majority of the green space based on the new plan. And I don't know if that's anything that else that can be, I don't know what else you can do with that, but you've lost the majority of the green space based on the new plan because of the parking and all of it, correct?
Well, no, because there were actually, I believe on the plan, I do have a zoning table. In the green space that we have actually exceeds the minimum required green space.
It does.
Yes, sir.
So I think it's 10%.
So can we see the new plan again?
Mr. Mayor, you sharing or would you authorize me to share?
Hang on, you're authorized to share, but I can share in
Okay.
just a minute. I'm gonna switch screens.
So, so in terms of safety, I feel that, the parking spot number 1 will still have a problem when it back up. Because
That's in the back, I believe. No,
No, that's in the front.
front? Okay,
that's front. So
Yeah.
The parking lot is in the front, adjacent to Main Street.
gotcha.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But Ms. Diaz, if you look at the turning movements, the parking stalls 1, 2, 3, and 4 all meet the dimensional requirements of the city. And then beyond that, you need at least 24 feet beyond the parking vehicle to back up. And we have more than 24 feet. We have 26 feet. Once you go past that angle there. So you don't have an issue.
So 26 feet from to the, like, from the one
Edge
to
of
the
the-
building?
That's correct. You see, so
But
if-
you have the porch, so that's gonna hit the porch, right?
no, because if you look at that solid black line with the little dots on it, that is the edge of the pavement. So between that edge of pavement and the porch, you have 2 feet. So
You
you're
need
backing up,
5 feet there, right? At least 5 feet. Otherwise, it's gonna hit the porch. From that dotted black line to the
yeah,
porch.
we can do that. We can move the building a little further back, no problem. If we have to.
I think, if I may, Mr. Chair, I think an instance like this, just foreseeing what the ZBA would say, is that number 4 parking spot, all too often when it gets built, you're gonna go end to end and it's gonna be completely tarred over.
Mhm.
No,
So,
because Mr. Sweeney, right on that edge over there, that's all gonna be curbing. So you're not gonna be driving over a 6-inch curb.
right, so it's all in the green space kind of gets eliminated. It doesn't matter if it's curb or not.
No, because, so if you look at the, what there as the green, is basically a shading of the property to highlight the boundaries of the property. All these sides, both sides of the building, all the way down behind where it says a deck, that's all green. That's all gonna be green space. So the
There's
only,
no green space, I'm sorry, Izu, there's no green space up front, it's all to the
Well,
side.
well,
and the
well,
back.
whether, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
what I'm saying is whether it was green space or not,
Mhm.
it's kind of frowned upon to have end-to-end pavement and no landscape at all in the front. It's just thinking out loud here, foreseeing what, issues that may arise.
No, if you look at Mr. Sweeney, if you look at, we can make that as shrubs, but if you look at that between the street, right there where Mr. May is pointing, that is actually a 5-foot grass strip,
Okay,
Right.
and it's labeled on the plan. You can see what's,
And likewise up here.
yes,
Now, because he's chosen green to outline the boundaries, it
Right,
looks like
right.
this is a grass strip, but this is actually the driveway.
Yeah.
right.
And then this should all be
green,
green also.
that's correct.
We definitely exceed the 10%, I think it is.
Yeah, this is the only paved area
Yes, sir.
in here.
I guess I guess my only point was what we see on a plan like this doesn't actually transfer sometimes with that tiny little space between the number 4 and the street. That's my only point.
Thank you, Jim. Any other questions or comments from the board? And if they're asking for a continuance, we're not gonna open this to a public hearing, I guess we're either gonna vote to continue or not.
Correct, sir.
So I need a motion.
Motion to continue to May 3rd.
Second,
Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
Corita Das,
yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes.
Larry Hassan is a yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Thank
members
you.
of the board.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a good night now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up is site plan approval for 534 North Montello Street, auto repair facility, and I think that's
Is that
Scott.
an as-built plan also? Oh, no, that's Scott. I'm sorry.
I think that the rest are Scott.
There's Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, folks.
Just going through my notes to make sure I'm organized, but Scott, if you're ready to tell us what we got here, let's move on.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering, representing Modern Auto Body for a piece of property on North Montello Street, directly across the street from Modern Autos, long-running facility at 551 North Montello Street. They have a vacant piece of property across the street, and they would like to develop it into an auto repair facility. Right now, as part of their business across the street, again, mostly auto body. There are times when there are some auto repairs that need to be done. So instead of shipping that out to another operation, they would like to keep it all in-house. So it'll be auto repair on our side of the street and the auto body on the other side. Where before technical review back a couple months ago, really just had a couple of changes that they were looking for. One was a storm grate across the front of the driveway entrance off of North Montello Street, which we've added, and also a little grading revision on the curb cut right where Mr. May has his the cursor right there, just a little grading on the radius entering into the property. That was really the only issues that came up during the tech review, Mr. Chair.
And Scott, they're the same owner, correct?
It'll still be Modern Auto Body.
Right, okay. I don't have any particular questions on this one here. Any comments or questions from the board members?
I do not have any.
No, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, Modern does a very good business. They are fairly good neighbors for the kind of business that they run. And I would hope that the board would support this site plan approval.
On this one here, is it open to public hearing on this one, Rob?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I got to stop sharing to do that. And if you have a question or would like to make a comment, Mary, you're the only one left in the group. Please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 if you're on a telephone. And I do not see Mary
is there any
indicating. that
questions
she
from
would like to
anybody
speak.
else? So I think we're up for a motion then.
A motion to approve with standard conditions, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Porita Das,
Yes,
Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes.
Larry Hassan is a yes. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, so definitive subdivision, 3 proposed lots for property at 135 Elliott Street, and it's Scott again.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Scott Farrier, Holmgren Engineering. What we have is a piece of property that's been bouncing around all of the city departments in the last, really in the last 3 years. Property at 135 Elliott Street. It's an existing business. On the right one, folks, right? Elliott Street, Mr.
Right.
Chairman?
I
Yeah,
thought
okay.
the preliminary subdivision was first. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, no,
So it's an existing warehouse facility that sells mostly janitorial supplies. They have a large grass area in front of their property. The owner of the property was hoping to build 6 of housing on that property. It is zoned R2 in the front. The back portion where the existing business is zoned industrial. The use was brought before the Board of Appeals. Again, a while ago, we received Board of Appeals approval. We had a long run with the Conservation Commission and the Conservation Commission's consulting engineer. and received an order of conditions this past fall. Then we received site plan approval from you folks, I believe December or January, just a couple months back, which leads us back to this this definitive subdivision. So again, we received Board of Appeals approval to allow for the use and the lot size as shown in the plan. So now we just need definitive approval to actually divide the property as shown.
And I see that, notes here, the city engineer, all the issues have been addressed. New legal notice was run and abutters were notified, so I don't know if there's any other issues. I don't know if any of the committee members have any questions or concerns.
No, Mr. Chair.
If there's no questions or concerns from the committee members, do we have anyone from the public that's in favor or not?
Anybody in the audience, if you would like to make a comment, please use the raise your hand icon or press *9. Whoops, I'm sorry, if you're on telephone. And I do not see anyone with their hands raised, sir.
Okay. So we need a motion.
Motion to approve with standard conditions, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Roll call vote, Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
Parita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes.
and Larry Hassan is a yes.
Thank you, folks.
Surety, Scott? Scott,
Yes,
Surety,
surety.
Surety,
yes, I would imagine a bond, Pam.
You think he's gonna place a bond?
I think so, but I will reach out to him and find out for sure and let you know what means he is looking to provide at this point.
Okay.
Thank you.
moving on to, looks like we got Scott for the remainder of the night, huh? It's the Scott show.
Yes. Yeah, I've got a friend, she puts me on at the end.
Okay. 3 proposed lots, property 432 Crescent Street. The original application was for 3 lots and now it's been changed. They're submitting a plan for 2 lots, correct, Scott?
Correct, Mr. Chairman. We had a proposal back a couple months ago to divide the property that's shown right here into 3 lots. The existing house that's right on the corner of Henry and Crescent Street. We're proposing a second lot up on Crescent Street, right where it's now labeled Lot A, right in that area, where we actually had a duplex proposed. And then we had the lot that is fronts on Moulton Street, where we did have a single family home proposed there. The planning board, again, we're looking for preliminary subdivision approval, which would allow us to get to the Board of Appeals to ask for relief to show the construction as shown. So at that meeting, you folks had some issues with the parking, the lot size on Lot A, well, to the previous one, backing out of cars onto Crescent Street. So we went back, spoke to the client about it. We kind of kicked it around a little bit. And we felt like this would be a more reasonable proposal. And we're hoping that the planning board will allow us to go to the ZBA with it. So what we've done is pretty much leave the lot that corners on Henry and Moulton Street. Moulton Street in that area is mostly a single family residential neighborhood. We would be building a single family home with an attached garage, a 4-bedroom colonial type dwelling. And the existing dwelling at 432 Crescent will keep the existing parking. And in addition to that, we're going to construct a parking area between the garage on Henry and the parking lot on Henry for 3 additional cars. So we'll now have 8 parking spaces for that existing 3-family, 6-bedroom home. And again, all of those spaces will back out onto Henry Street. So we felt like this was a a pretty good compromise and a better plan than what we had before you folks previously, Mr. Chair.
Right. And that spot there, the last spot on, which is considered lot 8, a 3-family dwelling, there was a garage there that's going to be taken down to create that extra spot, right?
Now that we were doing that originally, Mr. Chairman, but now they're gonna keep the garage and have it available to one of the units. So
Okay.
there'll be one space within the existing garage.
And no further subdivision of lot A.
That is correct.
I don't have any further questions or comments, committee members.
I guess I do, sorry.
Yeah.
What was our previous formation on this one again? Was it off to the other side? Was,
Yeah,
sorry,
lot A,
Scott.
lot A, they were gonna make this 3 lots.
Right.
Right,
Where lot A was, there was gonna be, I believe, a duplex there.
Side by side
Gotcha.
duplex, right.
that's right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Jim, or?
No, I think that jogs my memory. Thank you.
I mean, back at the February meeting, we advised to split the lot into 2 new lots instead of 3. And that's pretty much what Scott has done at this point, so.
Hmm.
I mean, but any other comments for Parita or Sam?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
I think I'm good.
Whoop, Parita?
Sorry, I said I'm good.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anyone from the public in favor or not in favor?
If anybody would like to speak, please use the raise your hand function. And we will unlock your microphone or press *9 if you're on the telephone. And I do not see anyone raising their hand, sir.
Okay, well, then we will need a motion from the board.
Motion to approve with standard conditions.
Jim?
Yeah.
Can you also add the condition that there's to be no further subdivision of lot A?
Motion to approve with standard conditions with no further subdivision of Lot A.
Second,
Roll call vote, Samantha Ambroise,
Yes.
Parita Das,
yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes.
and Larry Hassan is a yes. Thank you. At preliminary subdivision, 2 proposed lots, property 30 12th Ave. Scott, you're up.
Mr. Chairman, again, another plan that we had before you folks at the last meeting. Be it, as you said, at 30 12th Ave, kind of a larger than regular, about a 40,000 square foot piece of property in the neighborhood on 12th Ave where the lots are either 7,200 square feet or 14,000 square feet. So my clients, the landowners and homeowners of 30 12th Ave are hoping to divide the property, one lot for the existing house and then a second lot to turn it into a buildable lot to hopefully be used by the owner's daughter. At our last meeting, we had a couple of issues that we needed to clean up on the plan. The first was that little gazebo bump out to the back of the existing house at number 30 was not shown, and it certainly affected the lot lines. The second issue was a wetland area in the back that needed to be shown. So we've addressed both of those issues. The first one with the gazebo, it is part of the house. It's not a deck. It's really a family room part of the house. The owners intend on keeping it there. And in order to do that, we just jogged the lot line around that. We kept the frontage still the way it was. So the new proposed lot will have 145 feet of frontage on 12th Ave and a little over 15,000 square feet, again, larger than all the other homes on 12th Ave. In the existing home will have about 25,000 square feet. As I said, there are wetlands right on the very back corner of the property. If this plan were to go forward and receive ZBA approval, we would need to come back to you folks for definitive approval. At that point, we would have to go to, we'd have to get a conservation approval to build on the lot as well. So still quite a few steps to go through to make this happen, but this, your preliminary approval tonight will just allow us to get in front of the ZBA in the coming months.
Just a note on the lot line change there between the two lots.
Yes.
Can that be created just to make it a straight line back? Why? I'm just curious why it's got the angle on it there.
Really just to give Lot A as much frontage and area as we could. I mean, to be honest with you, it doesn't really make that much of a difference to us if we straighten the lot
Looks so
line
much
out.
Cleaner.
Yeah, it
Looks so
definitely
much
would
cleaner If you
be.
could just make that a straight line.
Yeah. It would probably get us down to,
Volume.
yeah, probably down to like 12,000 square feet of area. You know, again, the zoning requirement is 30, so I don't know that there's a huge difference between 12 and 15. Yeah. So I would certainly be fine with that, Mr. Chairman. I don't think that reduction in the lot area is going to be the reason it gets denied somewhere down the road. So I would certainly be okay with making that change, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments or questions from the planning board?
Yeah,
What-
Scott, is there a conservation issue here?
Not an issue, but there is a wetland in the back that will require a conservation filing in their approval ultimately. So
Okay,
yeah, the
so that
whole-
hasn't been done yet.
no.
Okay. Is there a plan to do that, or what's the?
We certainly would have to, but it would be, it's, like I said, there's about 4 steps we need to go through to actually be able to build on it. So we just try to pick and go in a certain order. So I think if we got preliminary approval, we would go to ZBA. If we got ZBA approval, we would come back to you folks for a definitive subdivision. At that point, we would file, before that, we would file with Conservation Commission, I think is what Pam is telling me.
Right.
Before we receive final planning board approval, we need Concom approval. So I think
Yes,
before it
that has
comes to
been
you,
changed.
yeah,
So it
before it
mimics
comes-
site plan review now.
right. But before it comes to you, we would have to file with Conservation.
So you'll apply to conservation committee prior to the definitive plan. Is
think
that,
Realistically, the biggest stumbling block is the ZBA, so we certainly wouldn't
Okay.
want to spend the time and the money filing with Conservation
Okay.
and getting approval and then get denied by ZBA, so.
Right. that's pretty clear. to me.
Mr. Chair, if I could,
Sure.
Scott, what does that leave you with for frontage? Just curious when you put the line there.
Probably 125,
125? Okay.
yeah.
That look okay to you, Jim?
Yeah, that looks, I was just curious as to what
Yeah,
it was, but
good question.
125 seems to be sufficient for that zone.
I mean, for that neighborhood, I feel like those lots are adequate.
Hmm.
Any other questions or concerns from
So
the,
where is the current wetland boundary?
The very back corner, Rob, is, yeah, right there, right where I have the A in Lot A. That's
Okay.
the approximate wetland line.
And you are currently like 40 feet away from the wetland.
That's right.
It will be pretty hard to get from conservation, right?
Yeah, Conservation has a 25-foot no-touch zone, so we certainly have to keep 25 feet away. And then after that, it's up to their discretion. We've certainly done jobs like this where we're about 40 feet away from the wetland. We put that, the limit of work and the siltation control right at that 25-foot line. And as I said, it's up to their discretion whether or not they approve it at that point.
And the carport and shade is already there, it's existing.
Exactly, their existing structures, right?
Okay. Yeah, no more question from me.
thank you. If there are no other questions from the board, open this up to the public.
If anybody would like to speak on this matter, please again use the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your screen or press *9 if you're on a phone. And I do not see anyone raising their hand, sir.
So nobody from the public on this one, so we will need a motion.
Motion to approve with standard conditions.
Can you,
Yep, we're gonna need to kind of read into there that they file a.
yeah,
conservation
it's a motion to move it to the definitive stage
Okay,
with,
Motion.
and we'd ask that you read those stipulations.
okay. If anyone, I gotta pull that up, Mike. If anyone else would like
Is it
to make
okay
a
if I
motion.
read it,
Yeah,
Pam, or does another member have to read it? I'll read it. So it's gonna be a motion to approve with the following stipulations. Applicant files with the Conservation Commission. Floodplain boundary is accurately mapped on the site plan. Wetlands are properly flagged. New lot line separating plot is revised. Variances are obtained for both proposed lots. So Jim is motioning to approve. We need a second.
Second,
Five.
So roll call vote. Samantha Ambroise,
yes.
Rita Das,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
yes.
and Larry Hassan is a yes.
Thank you, folks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And if there's nothing else, we need a motion to adjourn unless there's any other.
Motion to adjourn.
Before we hang, Pam just needs us to come in and sign some documents by Friday.
Yes,
Okay.
Sorry, Jim.
because now
All
I'll
right.
be at work on Friday.
All right. And
Motion to
we have a
adjourn.
second. Motion to adjourn. Good night, everybody.
Good
Thank you,
night,
everyone.
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
Good night.